Me and Vanessa are here today because we're very passionate about women empowerment. And we just thought it would be interesting to have some conversations specifically relating to women empowerment in India. Vanessa is from India. And she stays in Delhi. And I am French and I live in the UK, but I have stayed in India for quite some time, and I have a lot of exposure to it, and I have experienced India, basically. I'm a coach and I'm very much into women empowerment. I specialize in coaching women, and so these are conversations I'm always interested in having.
The topic of today's conversation is, are women in India really free? And this topic is really close to both our hearts. Well, firstly, because I am an Indian, and being a woman in India, I have faced certain experiences which got me to this point where it got me thinking that, are we really free even though we're here living in the 21st century, but our minds seem to not have exactly kept up with the times, like our thoughts and our belief systems in our country. And I know Chloe is also very passionate about this topic and women empowerment, as she said. And she's also been very supportive with me. She is my coach as well. And there have been various stages in my life where I had to make decisions out of my own free will. I say free will in quotes because we will be touching upon this topic further. But yes, Chloe has been there like a block. So yeah, I just got us thinking that why don't we just speak about it? Because we have experienced this, and I'm sure there are more women out there who are going through the same but have no one to talk to. So yeah, this is our little episode 1 of the 5 series program that we plan to do.
When we started talking about this topic, and we came up with this first kind of theme for this conversation, the topic of freedom came up. Like, are we really free? Are women in India really free? And that reminded me of a philosophy class that I took while in high school. Philosophy is mandatory in French high school. And the first question that the teacher hit me with was, is man really free? I mean, man with a capital M, human beings in general, mankind. And I immediately replied, well, no, we're not free. Man is not free. And to which he replied, but why are you saying that? And I said, well, if someone's being put in jail, they're clearly not free. And he said, okay, but this is just physical freedom. What about his mind? What about man's mind? It doesn't matter if he's being put in jail, his mind is still free. And so basically he argued with me and demonstrated that, that man is free. Human beings are born free because they have this thing called free will. This is from philosophynow.org. Is man really free? Many philosophers have claimed that man cannot be the original source of his actions. However, all desires and inclinations proceed from some cause, and we are free, what we may call the freedom of action, insofar as we follow our own desires and inclinations and implement our own decisions. And so we have free will, and free will in humans is the power or capacity to choose among alternatives or to act in certain situations independently of natural, social, or divine restraints. So we essentially have freedom of choice, and because we have freedom of choice, we are free. Despite the circumstances, we always have a choice. We're always free to choose how we're going to react to that. And so we're free. Basic human rights give us that freedom of choice. Basic human rights recognize that on a very fundamental level, we have freedom of choice and freedom of opinion, but also freedom of expression. As much as India is can be behind in some areas, it does have a constitution, and it does apply these fundamental human rights. So we are always free to say, to express, to take action, to make our own decisions. And we are actually protected legally in order for us to exercise that freedom of choice and freedom of opinion. It's been recognized that this is what, that we are born free, but there's also a system that protects that freedom, okay? And so India is one of those places where basic human rights are being applied and hopefully followed. But and this is where Vanessa comes in, because even though, as she said, we're in the 21st century, and we have now established that we have basic human rights like freedom of choice, opinion, and expression, and we are allowed to exercise that right, many of the women in India are actually not exercising that right because of cultural restraints. And so I'm going to give the floor to Vanessa to give us a little bit of her story, her journey.
So before I delve into my story, the one word I really want to emphasize on is choice and how important it is. And now that we know we are protected, we are legally safeguarded, that we are free to make our choices, like it's something really silly, like you want to wear that dress, you wear it, it's your choice, you're free to wear what you want, to say what you want. So yeah, just basically choice is like, it's a big word for me. So a little bit of my story is, so there was this point after I was towards the end of my undergraduation. So I have a degree in BSc Economics and Management from St. Andrews. And towards my final year, there was this pressure, just expectations. Just like my family was like, so what do you want to do next? And I was like, I don't know, generally what the trend was that people would go to pursue their MBAs, get a master's in some specialized management field or something like that. But it really didn't resonate with me. And I was kind of like, I did 4 years of management, and how different could it be? And it was a wonderful experience studying abroad. That was a different sort of exposure, and I'm grateful for that. But just in terms of if I wanted to build my life on studying management and economics only, I was like, I think there's more to me, it's not just this. For some reason, fashion came up for me really strongly, and around the same time I started observing myself, I kind of dress a little different, my style is a little different, I like experimenting with clothes, and for some reason I had not observed that till that day. I was like, oh, okay, so this is cool, so I could give this a shot, maybe, I could study fashion. If it works out, good. And if it doesn't work out, cool. Maybe this wasn't for me, but I learned something that I can't do. So that was the sort of mindset I was going from. And then came the part of sharing this with my family. And I remember feeling so scared about it. Chloe, you were there at the time, I remember. And even though I was feeling this fear, I was feeling so scared, at the same time I was like, but why? This is something that I want to do, why am I feeling scared to express it? My family did not completely understand the sudden switch over that happened from economics and management to fashion, it was completely off the usual path. So I think that took them a little by surprise, and it was very hard for me to kind of, I was on my own at the time, Yes, I had made this choice out of my own free will. This was my decision. And my parents supported me, but it wasn't the same emotionally, if I may say so. So yeah, I was they weren't if I would have pursued management, they would be more happier, just because they didn't understand that my happiness lied in fashion. It wasn't the same, because they expected me to do that, and this was a little different from the plan. So that was a little hard for me to digest, and I was young. This was 3-4 years ago now. I was just I don't know what to do. I used to cry. because I wanted someone, like generally kids call their parents, Mom, I'm feeling this way, this is happening, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have anyone to turn to, except Chloe, of course. Like, we had exclusive crying sessions. Chloe used to be like, just cry, Vanessa, it's okay. You have made this decision, it is your life. You are responsible for it. And yeah, it's cool, and you are educated, you're empowered, you have fundamental rights, you are exercising them. It's chill. The government's got your back. Yes, I did go on to pursue fashion designing. I did it in Italy, in Florence, Instituto Marangoni. And it was a wonderful 2 years, best 2 years of my life. This is also what I've been realizing a lot is our conditioning in our country. It has so strongly gripped us. Like, we think we're acting out of free will, but it's actually not really free will, So yeah, really breaking out of that, it took a lot of courage.
The way you're saying it, funny enough, really doesn't reflect the fear that you had at that point of having to have that chat with your father about the fact that you didn't want to do an MBA. Like, it took you months to have that conversation. You even had several failed attempts to have that chat. And I remember like the fear was really, really like crippling you. And there was a lot of pressure, even when you actually managed to say, hey, Dad, I've thought about it and, I don't really want to do an MBA. I really love fashion. I'd like to give it a try. And how shook you were, like how like, oh my God, what's gonna happen, just this fear of not doing in accordance with what is being expected of you and the consequences of that, like, oh my God, I'm gonna disappoint my dad, like end of my life, literally. But even when you managed to express that to him, there was a serious like brushing off on his side, which was like, what is she talking about? Like this is a new thing she wants. And so there was, in a way, it felt like, I remember you felt like you were not being taken seriously, and your needs, your desires, what you loved were not being taken seriously because they didn't correspond to the expectations that they had of you. But what's amazing is that you actually persevered, and you had another chat and you were like, listen, Dad, like this is not a tantrum that I'm throwing. I really want to pursue this. I really want to try it. And I would love it if you supported me, So you had to take a few shots at it, but you persevered and you remained calm. You didn't throw any tantrums. You had serious conversations. You did it the adult way, which is really good. And I was very proud of you for doing that, because I understand the cultural constraint that is being fed onto you as an Indian. Like, I get it. I was there. I was married to an Indian. I did everything Indian. I've experienced it to some extent. So, but you're one of the rare ones. When I see you, I know other people in India. I know other women. When I see you, you're one of the rare ones who persevered and said, you know what? No, this is really important for me. I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to live my life my way, because I just can't do it any other way anymore. Like, and I think there was an understanding of, if you submitted to fear and peer pressure, there was an understanding of what the consequences of that would be for you. And there was a realization of other people having submitted to peer pressure and fear and conditioning, and what was the effect of that in their life, and you going, oh my God, this is not what I want for myself. So what did you observe like around you in terms of your friends and other people who have kind of followed the expectations and submitted to the fear and the peer pressure, and just let their parents and family decide what their life was going to be?
I observed this, yes, like especially after I finished my fashion school and then I came back, because like I was just a different person, because I stood up for myself over there. And like when I started seeing my peers, people around me, like it felt like they had somehow convinced themselves that this is what they want to do, the life they want to live, but their heart wasn't in it. Like, it's like a different energy when you're saying, yes, this is what I'm doing, this is what I love to do. And that was a different energy when they're like, yeah, this is what it is, and we're chill, we're cool, It's sort of like, I don't know if given up is the correct word, but then they just stopped kind of fighting for what they believe in.
Because there is a narrative, you go to work, you study, you get a good degree, then you do your master's because otherwise you're shit. Then you find that job, and then if you're a woman, then you have a few years to work. But I mean, before you're 29, 28, you should get married and have kids and stuff. And it's just all planned, Someone else chooses what school you go to. Someone else chooses what studies you're going to go to, and then what job you're going to have, and then what husband you're going to get, and then when exactly you need to have kids. And someone else is running your life, essentially.
Everything has been decided for us, how women are raised, It's like when they're kids, they're told like, shadi ke baad ye karna, then it's okay. You're free to do whatever you want, but after marriage. Because it's sort of like you're the husband's responsibility or property now. This is messed up. Like, everyone's born free. How does this work, Like, it's just we have this unhealthy obsession with marriage, and women just have to get married. Like, I don't understand the whole fact around this, Like, but yeah, it's a very strong part of a woman's identity in India, marriage. It's like everything revolves around it. Getting married. Like, independence doesn't matter. If a woman wants to work, that doesn't matter. I mean, it's not taken seriously, not that it doesn't matter. But yes, lately women have started standing up for themselves, but I feel it's still not the same, It's like women are standing up against men, like, not for themselves. There is that we hate you for not letting us be us.
Very true point, and which is one of the reasons why I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm a feminist, or I kind of shy away from that stuff, because I don't like, I love men. Why would you not love men? Like, we're all human beings. I love and respect men and admire them for what they can bring to my life, and there's this basic understanding that they're not responsible for my well-being and my fulfillment. Like, why should I think that blaming men is a little bit too easy. And I'm not saying that there aren't any bullies and assholes out there. There definitely are. If you base yourself on the fact that you have freedom of choice, then somewhere along the way you didn't exercise that freedom of choice. It's important to be pro women, not against men. I'm pro me. I'm pro being fulfilled. I'm pro loving my life. I'm pro being independent. And everyone gets to benefit when you are coming from that space. Even men get to benefit, You're an exception, okay? You persevered. You just went at it. No, Dad, this is what I want. No, Dad, this is what I want. You exercised your freedom of choice, and freedom of expression and opinion. And no one can force you to do anything. No one can force you to do an MBA you don't give a fuck about. You were starting to say, people have they've kind of like convinced themselves that this is what they want because there's no other way that things can be. And so, but their heart is not at it. And then they live somebody else's life, basically. What are the consequences of that? Like, and where do you see that? In which situations do you see that?
I do observe that a lot in corporate sector, workplaces. And they're not like happy. They're very like worn down, and it's sort of like miserable. Like, my heart kind of breaks when I look at them. And like, this had crossed my mind, So when I had to decide when I had to go to fashion school. So I was kind of imagining, okay, economics management, and then I'm going to be at a bank 24/7. How does that feel, Vanessa? I was like, okay, all that is cool, but my mental health is important to me. My happiness is important for me. My family is important for me. My friends are important. I don't want it to be at the cost of one thing at the cost of the other.
People feel like they have to choose between one thing or the other, but you don't have to. You don't have to compromise. You can literally do what you love and have everything you love.
Yes. And I was very clear on that. So when I I always wanted to get into Goldman Sachs. Like that was like the banking firm. Yeah, it felt very heavy and intense. Like I see my friends also. They look like old uncles, and they have no life to them. And I'm like, I'm 26. Like what the fuck? Like technically, my career is just starting. And there's so much to do, so much to learn. So like, I want to grow as a person. That's what I want. And you're confining me to a 9 to 5 where all my energy is going to go. And then I'm going to come back home, have dinner, go to bed. And that's it. That's my life. And this happens like 5 times a week. Like, I don't think I was very comfortable with this idea. But yeah, my friends have kind of accepted this. Like, I see people around me who've accepted this.
I was married to an Indian man when I was 24. And I was married for 4 years, and it wasn't a very good experience. Basically, I went to India and I spent 7 months there, and I got married there, and I was immersed, like completely immersed. We're not even talking, rich Indians. Like my ex-husband's family was very much, lower middle class, like very, very simple. And I lived there. I slept on the floor. I ate with my hands. I did the whole experience, and I met everyone in the family, and I loved it. But I loved it because I think it's a beautiful culture and so rich, so diverse. It's just amazing, and I learned a lot about myself as well. But what I did notice, and what I really felt sad about, was how can I say, it's like women are not as important. Like what you want, if you're a woman in India, what you want is not, it doesn't matter that much. What's more important is that you are a good girl and that you follow the customs, and that you do what your elders tell you to do. So your parents, your uncles, your aunties, your grandmothers, your grandparents in general. What's important is that you get in line with the fucking schedule. If you try to take any sort of diversion, you're very, very quickly being put down. Emotionally, you are ridiculed, humiliated. You're being made feel very bad about yourself. Okay, that's how they get you in line. Okay, because nobody wants to be disliked, criticized, or judged. But judging is really, I saw how Indians really get you in line. And I don't want to say just Indians, because society at large. Okay, we're focusing now on India because I feel like this is happening more in India than in the UK, for example. And I feel like the culture is so strong in India that there are still these heavy expectations on people, and basically what you want doesn't matter. And I would even extend it to men also. When you're a young man, what you want doesn't matter. You're meant to get a good job, marry a good wife, have good money, and basically die when you're done. So, but you're also expected to fall in line, okay? And anything you do outside of that line is really, really, really well not accepted. and it's openly expressed to you as well that what you're doing is not accepted, is not acceptable. So yeah, I saw a lot of different things, very young women being pressured to get married or getting into arranged marriage. I don't have anything against arranged marriage, by the way. That's not what I wanted, but I understand it works for some people. But see, this is the thing. It's about what works for you. Like, what do you love? Not just like get in line with this agenda, and everybody should just get in line with this agenda. And what I saw was that essentially there's a lot of people who are not living their own life. There's a lot of women in India who are not living their own life. They're living the life that their parents had planned for them. I saw so many frustrated and angry people in India, bearing the weight of so many expectations, like you should be like this, you should be like that, you should earn this much money, you should be this kind of sister or brother, or you should be this kind of husband, or you should be this kind of wife, or you should have kids at this age. You know, it just starts slowly accumulating all that frustration, all that self-expression that you were never able to put out there. Space, you know, giving someone the space to find themselves, that's really, really important. And I feel like women in India are not being given that space, you know. So this creates a lot of anger and resentment, frustration, and guess what happens to that? Some people start beating their kids, you know, because they're fucking frustrated and angry, and nothing they do is ever good enough, you know, basically. Some people start drinking, you know, or getting into drugs, especially young people. Revenge, just depression also. So yeah, I've seen that, definitely. And it's very sad, because when you're fucking angry and depressed about your life and you're not expressing anything and you're just bottling up, you're affecting everyone around you.
I've definitely seen this and experienced this. Not that this is an opportune time, but it reminded me of all our serials on TV, all the Saas Bahu auntie serials. It's like there is this theme of self-sacrifice, like there's this greatness if you don't express yourself, bottle it up, and yeah, being the martyr, isn't that what it's called? Yeah, so I don't know, but anyways, this is a very prevalent theme in India, but it's very unhealthy, and it's unhealthy to the people around you. Like, you have a lot of emotional charge, and we don't even realize like how we're impacting our close ones, our near and dear ones. It affects the relationships around you. Sometimes it pushes people away from you, you know, just because you become so bitter. And it's just unfortunate, but that is what's going on. And another point which I was just thinking, you know, like we're having this conversation, we come from a very privileged space. I am a very privileged, sitting at a very privileged place. I have everything, like my family and everything. But there are so many women in India, like, I don't think they can imagine having this conversation, like, you know. And our population is huge, like we're the 7th largest country in the world, you know. And just thinking that so many women do not even know that they can think this freely, like they have the right to think, they have the right to express their opinions, they have the right to dream even, I would go as far as to say, you know. So yeah, that kind of hit me home right now, and I'm feeling really heartbroken. But even though I'm sitting at this privileged space, I still went through all of that, you know. Like, I was scared sharing like what I'd love to do with the ones who are the closest to me, you know. So yeah, it's just this entire thought process, our belief system, it's just got me thinking about it.
You know, I'm sitting here from my flat in the UK, you know, you're living on your own in Delhi as a 26-year-old girl. I mean, I really, it does not escape me that we are talking from a very privileged point of view. And however, my observation is that when you're in India, I've definitely noticed that, interestingly enough, money doesn't solve that. And you can, you know, I've met very, very wealthy people in India, and I've also met very poor people in India. And they have the same problem. They have this problem that, you know, this is expected of me, or, you know, what can I do? Oh, now I need to get married. oh no, my papa says I should do this, oh my mommy says I should do that, they found some guy for me, I think I should just listen, but what can I do? I don't want to get married, but what can I do? And it's the same thing whether you have money, you don't have money. That pressure is there, that lack of acceptance of everyone's differences, that not everyone has to follow that particular agenda, and that doesn't make them less of a person. Remember that girl we met, her dad used to beat her mom, and she's from this village, and she decided she was gonna leave, and she left, and she was like, I don't know how I'm gonna survive, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm just gonna, anything is better than this, like I need to get out, I can't do this anymore. And so she left, and so now she has a job. Is she rich or whatever? No, she's not. She's living a very simple life, but she's free. She took that step, she expressed her, she followed, she acted based on her her own free will. She made a decision, and she went for what was going to make her happy and fulfilled. And that's very inspiring, so yeah, I've seen a lot of people living a life that they didn't choose, and then hating everyone for it, which I think brings us back to this the dark side of feminism, which is, you're living a life that according to you, men have chosen for you, and you're hating them for it. But the problem is, somewhere along the way, that's exactly what happened. You didn't choose. And actually, you have to choose, because not choosing is also a choice. Not doing is also doing. I also understand that, because of lack of education, some women in India don't even know that they have a basic fundamental human right to express themselves and have freedom of opinion and freedom of choice. And I think it would be really nice to spread that, to make sure that every woman knows her legal rights as a human being, and know that the government has her back, basically. And I think it would be really important if women had each other's back as well. You have a freedom of choice and opinion and expression, but if you don't take responsibility for your own freedom, you will end up becoming a bitter auntie. Not taking responsibility for your own freedom not only has a negative consequence on you and your fulfillment and your happiness, but it actually also has negative consequences on others. Are Indian women really free in India? Fundamentally, ladies, you are free. But if you don't exercise your freedom, it's nobody's fault but yours. So freedom takes responsibility, okay? And you are responsible and accountable for exercising your rights. And you know what they say, if you don't exercise your rights shall be taken away from you. You are one of those who have taken responsibility for her own freedom. What was that experience?
Physically, it wasn't easy, and anything worth having is not easy. Well, that's that. But I think freedom is really important. I feel much more of who I am. Once I chose that I wanted to pursue fashion, I had the best 2 years of my life. I was like a different person altogether. It was like my mindset just shifted. Once you just get to know that, I think everyone needs to realize this at an individual level. You're free, you can make your choices, and you can do what you want. How they anyways say in India, तुम्हें फर्क नहीं पड़ना चाहिए लोग क्या कहते हैं. It's easy for others to say, but actually doing that, it feels like a Herculean task. But once you're on the other end, and once you get a taste of it, you don't want to go back. I feel free, I am independent, I'm living by myself, I earn money, I'm making my new collection as well. I won't say it's easy, I don't have everything nice, pretty, but it's worth it, I am who I am, I can make my own choices, I don't have something structured or planned or anyone forcing me or telling me what to do. So it's really liberating as a human being, like at a really basic level. So yeah, I think it's been a fabulous experience, not an easy one, but it's better than living the monotonous routine that's been set out for you, the pre-planned thing. And I feel like throughout these experiences, like making my own choices, I have grown so much as a human being. I have met so many new people from different cultures. I think that is what's important, seeing new perspectives, seeing what's going on in the world, seeing how other people live. I mean, for me, there's more to life than just earning money, becoming CEO, or being the most popular person. Like, I really don't think ultimately that is what matters in life. No one's gonna go to your grave and be like, oh, hey, mean girl, bitch, she was most popular or cool one. I mean, it's just, you just grow and you feel fulfilled, and that's what I'm feeling. Everything is coming from a space of love and free will, which is free from the society's will. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yeah. And and you live in India, so it's not that you don't receive these messages all the time, because you do. And then we very often speak about that, that, oh, you had a thing at work and this guy said something and you felt like that was very sexist, or but you can disassociate yourself from that narrative, and the same way, understanding that the same way you have been conditioned, everybody else has been conditioned too. They're just repeating what they've been told to say by their parents and their parents' parents, so in a way, I think you can come at it from a compassionate perspective, where you understand that not everyone is at that level where they want freedom, or they realize that there's a narrative and they want to break free from that narrative, and taking, becoming aware of their own freedom of choice, and wanting to go onto that journey and do that adventure because it is an adventure. But it's fun, it's amazing. You can fail at doing stuff that you don't love, so why not fail at doing stuff that you love, and if you love, most likely you're not going to fail. But yeah, thank you so much, Vanessa, for sharing your experience. It's good to know that you are there in India, you work in an office, you're also developing your collection and stuff, and you are able to be in that environment, which is full of messages and expectations and pressures and things like that, but you can decide not to engage with that, and you can decide differently, and you can be like, okay, well, this is the general sexist narrative, and I don't have to engage with that. Sometimes you're gonna get mad, but also you don't have to get mad, and you can start leading by example, and exercising your freedom is how you lead by example. It is how you start changing your life. It is how you start having a positive effect, not only on yourself but on others. It is how you inspire other women to exercise their rights. There's something to say about doing this the mature way, the adult way, and not throwing tantrums. Sometimes the way that women demand for equality and things like that, they do it in such an angry, resentful way that it actually doesn't come across well. It comes across as a 5-year-old who's just throwing a tantrum. But if you have the serious conversations, if you ground yourself in who you are and you say, well, listen, I understand that you don't necessarily agree with this, but I'm gonna take this road, I'm gonna take this path, and I know you don't have to, you may not understand, you may not be happy about it, but this is what I want to do, this is what I would love. And it would be really it would be amazing if you supported me in that. That's how you have powerful conversations. Take responsibility for your freedom and be responsible with your freedom as well. I think that's an important note.
Choice and responsibility are two key words, key takeaways. You make a choice and you are solely responsible for the life you create.
Before taking on all the responsibilities that people want to make you take on, I think you should start by taking responsibility for yourself first and foremost. That itself has brought so many beautiful changes in my life. When I stopped doing everything that I thought others wanted me to do and I started living for myself, I know many people think that could be selfish, but actually it's never been better, or for me or for my family. Like, I've improved so many relationships. I've improved my life. I've made amazing friends. I've improved my relationship with my family, you know, and I can be now genuine with them. I don't have to be this person that I wasn't. I can just be authentic. And then they see that, and then they can also allow themselves to be authentic, you know. And that's the beauty of it, and that's how you inspire others. Cool, Vanessa, thank you so much. This was great. I think we are thinking of doing little episodes like this, talking about different topics focused on women empowerment in India. So if you're watching and you're Indian, you want us to discuss a particular topic, then do let us know. Bye guys, see you next time.